and 3 and 2 and 1 bitty 1 1 1. I'm sorry. I'm gonna probably delete that.
What? What was that?
Well,
Okay.
welcome to the Mixed Martial Inks podcast. I think
Keep it.
I am. I am. I am your host, but apparently I've just been fired for whatever the fuck that was. Um,
Ben is hearing voices now, and they are firing him.
oh yeah, I'm. No, I think I brought that to HR. HR has determined that that was unacceptable behavior, and
Human
I need to be
resources, I
fired.
know, eh?
Yeah, I need to be fired for that. That was it's very
Not
weird.
good for the branding.
That was
Not
not
good
good
for the
for. That was not
branding.
good for anybody or anything. Coffee is delicious, and that was my first sip of it. So now I'm back.
No, now is that.
I sound a little hoarse. That's because my brother's engagement party was last night. It was, to quote some very famous people, lit. It was lit.
What?
It was.
Wait, is that Don Lemon?
I don't know who it was.
Okay. No, Don Lemon is an anchor in
Oh, I know
CNN,
who he
and
is.
there, yeah, and he was super fucking drunk one time in New Year's Eve, and I think he was talking to like Kathy Griffin or something. He kept saying, "I am lit," but you could see that motherfucker was super drunk.
That's great.
Yeah, you can look the clip on YouTube, by the way. Like, I usually don't give a shit about what happened, like with like American figures or whatever, but he looks funny. I'm like, you be lit, my guy, you be lit. He
That's
was funny.
awesome. That's great.
Yeah,
All right, let's talk about Chan Sung Jung knocking the fuck out of Frankie Edgar in 3 minutes
yeah.
and 18 seconds. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of really enjoyed it. Turns out that Frankie Edgar's kind of anti-vax, so
Yeah.
fuck him, right?
Ugh.
I mean, fuck him
Well,
before. Like,
I
of the guys
I
who
don't.
listen, out of the guys who went to Kadyrov and like that, all that shit, he's apparently like backtracked from it a little bit, where he said like, "Oh, I really wasn't aware. I'm not going to do that again."
Yeah, Chris Weidman said the same thing.
Yeah,
He didn't know.
like so.
They were getting paid by
Yeah, they were just
their
getting paid,
job.
so they didn't care. But then they like were like made aware afterwards, supposedly. Which I don't listen. I'm not going to say I don't believe them. I'm not going to say I do believe them. I'm going to say like you at least commented on it, whereas Fabrizio Verdum was like, "No, fuck you. I'm going to go
Fuck.
anyway."
Yeah, that he lost me there.
Yeah, that
He
was
lost
bad.
me there.
But Jung looked great. Frank Edgar looked like a shot 38-year-old fighter.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like that Jung doesn't deserve credit for the victory. I'm not saying any of that crap, but is anyone really going to say that that's Frankie Edgar in his prime? Look, don't get me wrong. This is not a great fight for Frankie in his prime, just because Jung is the type of guy who's going to land those shots on Frankie regardless. The difference is that Frankie in his prime would be able to either take them or recover better, and also would have had far better entries on his shots. He would have been far quicker. His reactions would have been better. His reflexes were like, we agree. Like he looked like an old Frankie Edgar in there, like a really old Frankie Edgar.
It didn't help that he's always had this idea of being tough and like getting beat up and then recovering. That you cannot help but like think that maybe that's what he was going for here. Like, how do I create my opportunities because I don't have these tools, right? And he also made some. He was doing kind of okay in some exchanges, but
Was
he
he?
wasn't.
He landed 9
Yeah,
strikes the whole fight.
from what was there of the fight and from what was there in the stand-up, I'm not saying he was doing fantastic or even great, kind of okay. Like,
Well, the thing is
that's what I'm
that,
saying.
well, I don't think so, because I think like we know what we know of Jung. Jung is okay taking those shots to land his. We know that that's his style. So yeah, Frankie actually outlanded him from distance. The difference is that Jung knew that he could take Frankie shots and Edgar can't take his. That's the like. It's a
I know,
strategic choice in taking those shots. And don't get me wrong, Jung is not a phenomenal defensive fighter. He actually
no,
is
he's not.
not at all.
But he knows when to stand and where to stand in order
Correct.
to get his shit done,
And,
right?
and yeah, go ahead.
But like the way a Frankie fight works for me, like, and you can debate me on this if you want, is that he needs to get some things done in the beginning in order to sort of assess where he goes from there. And he got that part more or less started. I'm not gonna say done at all, but he got started with finding his range, finding his timing, that sort of thing. But he just doesn't have enough, and he made like a distinct bad choice. Like it happened, but the fight that like the shot that started everything going downhill for him was like he faked with a leading right hand, and then came back with a jab, and then like he missed like Jung's counter left hook that came on up the top from the right hand, from his right hand, and that's the sequence that started it. But he was off range like really bad, and also him wanting to feint with a leading right hand. Like why are you doing that? But then everything went to shit.
This is a fighter who, man, like Edgar is someone who really relied on his ability to be quicker than his opponents.
Yeah,
right.
And you can see that maybe if he was faster, like maybe and his range had been a little tighter, like it might have worked against someone else. But Jung has actually worked on his counters a lot.
Like, well, no, Jung's counterpunching has been phenomenal for a while now.
I know, but I'm thinking of him back in his days in the WEC.
Okay, come on.
No. But there is a range, like there is a development that you can see. Like
yeah, but the WEC was 9 years ago. I would hope to see a development.
Yeah, but you have to see, like even at the high level of MMA, you don't see this kind of counters. Like how did he take out?
I think
Moicano. How did he take out Moicano?
Well, that was a year ago. Not even a year ago. It was 3 months ago.
No, I know. No, what I'm saying is that that's what I'm getting at. Like the kind of tools that he's put together at this stage of the game is like it's not something that Frankie can deal with anymore. Like I'm not even sure if he could have dealt with them at his prime.
Right. No. This is not a good style matchup for Frankie. That's kind of pretty well established, I would say. But what I'm saying is that.
I'm saying that he had no shot, basically.
Oh, I get it. What I'm saying is also that Jung has been a good counterpuncher for a really long time, but also counterpunching, and especially for powerful strikers like Jung, who have really good senses of timing, is something we've seen even from the likes of someone like Shogun. Shogun, in his old age, 10 years ago, was still kind of
way to break my heart.
Was kind of fighting the same way as he did when he was, less old age, 15 years ago.
Like he fought, years
basically, he continued to think he was Pride Shogun for a really long time and fought like it. The problem was he wasn't. As like his most recent run shows, he became like kind of a crafty counterpuncher, and that's why he's been surviving as long as he has, because learning a couple of really, really, simple and straightforward counter punches has allowed him to stick around the top ranked light heavyweights, because light heavyweight garbage. So at featherweight, we see someone like Jung, who developed it while still near his athletic prime. Clearly, he hasn't taken nearly as much damage as some other fighters because of those long breaks that he's had, which is some of the reason why I think he's actually become as good as he is because his body hasn't been broken down in the same way that a lot of other fighters who eventually fall into this style have. And while he's been knocked out a couple of times, he's never really been he hasn't really been subjected to too many beatings. You know what I mean? Like, he had the war with Dustin Poirier, but he then had his weird fight with Jose Aldo where his shoulder popped out. He didn't fight for 4 years, right? And then he comes back and goes 3-1, where he was winning the Yair fight pretty clearly, got knocked out in the last second, literally. Like, this guy could have a 4-fight win streak. And realistically, if you ran that Yair fight back, I'd still favor Jung. So
I wouldn't be so sure, but he should be a favorite. He should be a favorite, but I wouldn't be so sure.
I don't understand your question. Your statement.
No.
I just said I would favor him. I didn't say he should.
Okay. I thought you said. Okay, I understood that you said he would definitely win.
No, he would be the favorite. It was a close fight. Okay. It was a competitive fight. I was just saying, he would definitely be the favorite, even though he lost the fight by knockout. He was clearly winning the fight. Therefore, it was, we saw how that fight played out over 5 rounds, and he would be the rightful favorite. Jung is, I think, a case study of a guy whose style, if you're forced to use it consistently, is the type of style that could degrade a fighter's health over time, the more fights they have.
Yeah, substantial.
So the fact that he really hasn't been put through that grinder for a really long time has probably allowed him to develop that style, because when you saw him fight Jose Aldo, right, he wasn't the same fighter, and Justin Poirier in 2012, 2013, and he comes back in 2017, 2018. He's not the same fighter. He developed his counterpunching game is significantly improved compared to what it was. And he's a lot more, I mean, he'll still throw down, but like, he's a lot more intelligent with how he does so. He still has some of the same issues, I would say.
Yeah.
Like,
he's training with the same people.
His defense is still problematic. He's still a little too, I would say his cardio is not perfect. He still hasn't worked that out, completely. But and we really haven't seen him have to deal with a grappler yet. Again, someone who can force
a grappler near his prime.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, that's not actually usually the fighter who beat Jung. That really never was. But it's something
he hasn't faced many of them either, though.
He really hasn't. Like, his record is devoid of wrestlers like Frankie Edgar and Dennis Bermudez, and I don't know if I really want to count them right now. Both of them.
They were wrestle boxers at the time they fought him.
Also, Dennis was kind of shot shin wise.
Yeah.
I think that was that his last fight, or was it? It was definitely one of his last fights.
Yeah, it was one of his last ones. I think he went out on a win. I think.
He did. That actually. Oh wow, that started a 4-fight losing streak for him. Where he lost 3 straight by split decision. After that, and then won against Tay Edwards by unanimous decision, and then he retired.
Then fuck it, yeah.
But yeah, Dennis has always been a bit chinny. Like, he got dropped by Ricardo Lamas and then choked, and then KO by flying knee KO by
yeah, but that Jeremy Stephens. Yeah, but that KO.
It wasn't just that KO. He got dropped like 4 times also or something like that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Like,
Bermudez has unfortunately always been a bit chinny, and for his style, that wasn't great for him. It was always going to limit him against the top guys. But again, where do you see Jung going now? Like, also, do you agree about the style benefiting from his time off?
I think any fighter benefits from their time off in general. Like, what I do is, like, I tend to, like, pause the clock in their career. Like, if they have had long time of inactivity, I tend to pause the clock a little bit, like, because they're most likely learning, but not like wearing their bodies down in training.
Hopefully, one would hope they're not shoot box.
Yeah, like, that's bad. Like, don't be shoot box. Okay, don't be shoot box.
You never go full shoot box.
No, you don't. No. No, I agree on that count.
Okay, that's good.
And he's been smart in how he's handled himself, I think, because that leads, like, if you want, we can discuss the Korean Superboy now.
No, I'm not, because I kind of have like an athleticism working versus athleticism not working thing going on.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna wait for you to finish your comments on this fight, and then we'll go forward.
Yeah, and I think he's been smart about it, and also I think he's more patient. Like, he's more patient now than he used to be. Like, before he was, and that's why it's useful to consider the WEC comparison, because he was very much a come forward fighter before.
Yeah.
Like, the counter boxing thing that was put on him because he had like a very shitty experience, and he's been open about it. Like, getting knocked out by George Rock really like did a number on him. Mm-hmm. And he said, like, he even said, like, Korean zombie style is dead, I'm gonna do other things now. And he did. Like, he came up with the counter punching style.
And he still comes forward too. It's just that he uses his pressure to bring out reactions that he wants.
Mm-hmm, but he's more judicious now. Like, that's the thing. Like, he spent all these years like building something that is not necessarily how he normally fights, like how he would want to fight, but it's worked better for him in the long run. And I think he should fight Sabit next. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say, if they're gonna book again Max Holloway versus Volkanovski, a rematch, Ortega is number 2, and he's injured, obviously. And Magomed Sharapov is number 3, and Frankie Edgar is number 4, and Yair Rodriguez is number 5. Their options are a rematch between Yair and Jung, or matchup.
No, that shouldn't.
Yeah, I would say Magomed Sharapov would be the call.
Yeah, and I would. You know what I would like to see? Like, I would like to see people give Holloway a chance to like not fight Volkanovski.
Oh, I would love
let,
that.
let Volkanovski. Yeah, let Volkanovski rest because I think his hand is fucked up.
Well, no, even if whatever, I mean, if his hand is fucked up, he's going to rest. I'm saying that they might rebook the match.
Yeah. I don't want to watch that fight, honestly.
I know. I don't want to see a rematch right away. I want to see Max Holloway beat up on Yair Rodriguez. No offense.
Yeah, I think that fight. No. I think that fight makes sense for both of them.
I think it makes sense. I really do.
Like, I don't see Yair winning, but there's nowhere else to go. Like, where are you gonna go?
You can't keep hiding. You know, like you can't fight Jeremy Stevens again. Sorry, you just can't. I don't allow it.
You're just gonna kick his ass again.
Well, yeah. Well, or get his ass kicked for a portion of the fight as well.
But he kicked his ass, literally.
Oh, I remember. Okay, we're going to move on to the next portion of the fight where I'm going to say, like, it's going to be a combination of one of the Bellator fights and 3 of the UFC fights that I'm specifically going to talk about. Volkan Oezdemir versus Alexander Rakic. Charles Jourdain versus Choi. Cyril Gane, I guess it's Cyril Gane versus Tanner Boser. And AJ McKee versus Derek Campos.
I didn't watch the Gane fight.
That's fine. It's heavyweight, so I don't necessarily blame you, but I would definitely recommend you watch it personally. It's not the most exciting fight. It's not like a high, super high pace or anything like that. But I think there's a lot worth watching. Gane is one of the. He is Ngannou's training partner, if I'm not mistaken, and he's actually a way better striker than Ngannou. Yeah, because he actually isn't just standing there waiting for you to throw a punch and counter you. And this was the first time he went to a decision. So we got to see him, and like he didn't force a finish. You know what I mean? Like, okay. Where did the athleticism come into play where it worked? Where did it come into play where it backfired? The examples where it worked, we had Cyril Gane and AJ McKee. Where it backfired was with Volkan Oezdemir and Charles Jourdain. Now,
absolutely,
it backfired in big ways for both of them. All right, so we had. Let's start with Alexander Rakic versus Volkan Oezdemir first. I would say. You agree? Because that was the co-main event of the UFC card. I think it's a good place to start. We had Rakic, clearly win the first round.
Yes.
Clearly hurt. He landed the better shots, did a really good job. You could see
even at range,
he really had a speed advantage and power was there for him. He was landing the better shots to the head. He was actually attacking the body. Really good stuff. It kind of turned around in rounds 2 and 3. Now, both of them were very close in terms of striking numbers. However, I would say the damaging strikes were really landed for the most part by Oezdemir on the leg. There was a flurry by Rakic, I think in round 2, where he may have stolen the round. I can totally see that going for Rakic. I'm not arguing that it's unacceptable or blah, blah, blah.
But it makes sense. Yeah, but it makes sense.
Regardless of how it was
could have won.
Correct. Regardless of how it was scored, you could see that this is a man who clearly relies on having that athletic advantage. And when that was nullified via Oezdemir being very tough, number one, and number two, having the necessary skills to mitigate that athletic disadvantage in specific ways, such as the leg kicks. I also really liked a lot of those short punches that he was utilizing, both to the head and the body.
Yeah, during the clinch, he was also very active.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Rakic.
Yeah, and you could see you can kind of see. I think this kind of tells the story of the fight. Rakic in round 1, 9 body shots landed. Oezdemir 2. In round 2, 4 body shots landed by Oezdemir and 4 by Rakic. In round 3, 8 body shots landed and 3 body shots landed by Rakic.
Yeah.
You saw the reversal of like of
Yeah.
that, and you saw that Rakic also started getting hit with more and more headshots as well. The one thing I did not like that Oezdemir did is he kind of got away from the leg kicks for some reason. It went from 6 to 11 to 4. Uh, in the clinch, they were kind of even in strikes, but at the same time, the actual striking advantage, I would say, probably went to Oezdemir in the clinch just because of, I would say he landed the better strikes in the clinch. Overall, this should put some serious dampers on Alexander's, prospects at light heavyweight.
I'm not.
Let
Okay.
me explain.
I hear you.
Um,
Okay.
it'll take a really good athlete to contend with Jones, right? The difference is between someone like Reyes and Rakic is that we see the real technical leaps that Reyes is
Yes.
making, and Rakic is really just like really athletic for light
Yeah.
heavyweight and really big and fast. And past that, I'm not seeing too much development. You know what I mean? Like I haven't seen too much development from his last few fights. He's
Oh, I
doing a lot of
agree.
the same things, and it works because he's huge and fast and powerful. But that will only take you so far because eventually you're going to fight guys like Volkan who are tough enough to handle it. You're going to fight guys like Thiago Santos who are equally athletic or fast or powerful, or guys who are actually developing skills like Dominic Reyes who are also young and powerful. Or you're going to fight John Jones who is
I'm
regressing,
gonna
but is
murder
still very
you.
athletic. You know what I mean? And very long. So I think that that's an example of where the athleticism failed. What are your thoughts on this?
I pretty much agree on everything. Like the problem with Rakic, to be more specific, is that he's not. First of all, he doesn't have like he threw the kitchen sink in this fight. Like he depleted himself like of techniques,
Yeah, he
and you
ran
could
out
see
of.
that he
He literally ran
of
out of
stuff to do.
options. It's like, okay,
Yes,
jumping head kick. Okay, next I'm gonna throw the leaping right hand from outside, but I'm faking like he's like rolling
yeah.
to
You could see him come up to a point where he's like has to repeat himself, and yeah, like and he's not good at managing what he does. Like he's really good at doing things really well once, and that's kind of like the if you want to see something like not go right, look for it happening once really well and then not happening again at all. And that's kind of the problem with Rocket. Like you can see, like in even his motion, like he's so labored. They're so wide. Like he has to spend a lot of energy just to get back to resetting himself,
yeah.
pretty much. And
Also, his
and that
wrestling leaves a lot to be desired
yeah.
because his
And so
ground and
he
pound is vicious. But
yeah, but he couldn't get it there.
yeah,
Like
exactly. Volkan,
like
credit to Volkan. He's also
no, he's
very
done a
clearly
lot of
worked on
work.
his wrestling. Like I remember
Yeah,
watching. Yeah.
after getting schooled by Daniel Cormier, you better. Well, but yeah, but it's a good thing because that's what sort of propels people to make the specific changes they need to do. Like they may not make them in the time you want them to, but eventually they get there. And with Oezdemir, like short of facing John Jones or Daniel Cormier, like he's not likely to get taken down by very many people. Parenthesis Anthony Smith, with whom he wants to fight again now. And that fight might be
I'm
interesting.
cool with that fight. That was a fun fight.
Yeah, but he wants it again because he lost.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, you could see like someone that knows how to manage themselves, how to pace themselves, how to do the things you need to do. Like I said so before. Like I use this term before, the unsexy things in fighting that do not involve throwing punches and like ducking punches and countering, like those things, that positioning himself, managing his energy, like all those things, like even like being just a fucking prick in the clinch and just working and drawing this like very strong responses from Rakic, like everything that he just kept sapping him little by little by little. And yeah, like that's why he lost. Like it's kind of like we're gonna keep seeing this story until the end of time, where you get this uber athlete who just cannot hang with people less athletic than him or her because he hasn't done the work necessary to stay in there.
Yep.
Also, can we comment about that massive alien growth that he had on his leg?
Yeah, that was
Holy
gross. It was,
shit!
honestly, it looked like Mark Hominick's hematoma was like growing
Yeah,
a brother out of Rakic's.
it looked. No, it was his girlfriend, like Mark Hominick's hematoma's girlfriend.
Mark Hominick's forehead and Rakic's knee. I ship it.
Yeah, they should. It's like,
All right.
oh jeez.
And now we talk about the second fight where athleticism backfired. Duho Choi versus Charles Jourdain because oh
Sadness.
shit, dude, I loved this fight because Jourdain was doing some seriously good stuff in there. Like the way he was, first of all, the defense he displayed in the pocket was awesome. Granted, he got hit a lot, but that's because Duho Choi is so fucking fast and powerful. But Jourdain,
He's good at finding it.
yeah, Jourdain spent a significant portion of the fight ripping body shots at Duho Choi and getting him to drop those hands. And he was doing everything right against a guy who's more powerful, who's faster, who's more athletic, who's coming forward at you. And like you could see, like Charles Jourdain got dropped immediately, like not immediately, but he got dropped pretty quickly into the first round. And he handled it like a goddamn champ would, like he got back up, he got his wits about him. And
yeah, he had presence of mind, like that thing you need when things don't go right for you.
Yeah,
like he let it happen, and he just stayed. Like he figured ways in
and then he dropped
how
him.
to stay in there, especially at the end of the first round.
Yep,
and then he fucked
with a beautiful
the second round.
With a beautiful tap boom. That would be the jab.
And Choi got married to that uppercut. Like Choi, yeah.
What the fuck was that?
Choi got married to that like
rear.
No, okay, so here's what Duho Choi does. Like
he rear uppercut. Like that's insane.
Yeah, like
you know what? That's what we used to make fun of Cathal Pendred for doing. Except Cathal Pendred was slow. The difference is Korean Super is fast, so it looks like ooh.
Yeah. Okay. This is why I wanted to watch the Juliana Velasquez fight in Bellator, but couldn't find it because she actually landed that combination in fight, and it looked fucking crisp. And here, Duho Choi married. He just loves the uppercut. Like let's be honest. Like he loved the fucking lead uppercut, and I don't know why, because he leaves him open, and that's how he dropped pretty much. And he's doing well in the things he does well, but he also looked very loose in general. Like his entire game just looked looser, and not in a good way. Like people in English say like looser, like oh he's comfortable. No, I mean looser in that it's like it's not tight at all. Like it's falling, like dispersing. Like it's not good.
Well, I mean, like if you look at if you just even look at the differences between how they got dropped respectively in rounds one alone, you had Korean Superboy who literally just threw rips an overhand right, and Jourdain, I'm assuming it's Jourdain. If not, it's Jourdain, I believe. He ducks and covers, and he's literally, you see him covering his head. He tries to duck under it, and it clips him in the back of the head. But
yeah,
it's like it's something where it's just like Jojo is fast and powerful and threw really hard, so it still clipped him.
And he's also really good at coming forward. Like when his opponents are backing down, like he's really good at finding spots and where to do damage. And Jourdain is just that fucking guy is smart.
Oh yeah, and you see Jojo is like coming forward like crazy, and.
Like I fucking got this guy now.
Yep, and it's not just that. It's also like you see that the way Jourdain's fighting is that it's smart. He doesn't let Choi get away with it, and he tries to back him up, and then you just see him throw that flying knee, the right jab, and then comes forward that ripping that straight left at him. It was beautiful because Duho Choi is backing up. He's got his head straight in the air. He's not like showing anything remotely that could be considered defense, I would say, but like,
well, his head movement is very Donald Cerrone-like in that there was
no head movement. That's the problem.
No, he sways from side to side a little bit, and then when it's time to throw, he just doesn't.
Well, everything he threw,
you get what you get.
Yeah, well, like that's the thing. Like I just watched it. He didn't use defense in that exchange. He tried to counter the flying knee by throwing.
No, why? When you can just
he tried to counter the flying,
which is not a bad choice.
Right, but you have to land it.
Yeah, I know it's not necessarily a bad choice.
But he's backing
But,
up.
yeah, I know. When you're not doing anything else, and you're just okay. I see punches coming. I'm gonna leave my chin in the air, and I'm gonna counter with my own punches, and let's see what happens. And what happens is you go to sleep. That's what happens.
I'll be right back.
Hopefully he can make adjustments.
I'll be right back.
I know.
Low. Hold on a second. Keep talking.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it hasn't been that long that he's been with his new team. I think he used to train with Jung's team a long time ago, and then he changed that. That may not have been the best choice, but maybe we give him a little bit more time. Like apparently we were having a conversation where Choi was discussing his upcoming military service, which he has not engaged in, by the way. So he has time to make some adjustments, like maybe get away from fighting a little bit, and work on that, because that time away actually did good for Jung, for Chance and Jung, for Korean Zombie. So maybe it can do the same for Duho Choi, but he has to settle into his new training scenario because, as I mentioned, he left his original team. So yeah, I mean, I'm not down on him, fucking he sucks now. He was never good or whatever. But he has things very specific things he needs to fix, and hopefully he does. I don't know what's next for him. I think he has 2 years before he goes into military service. You said so he has to settle first. He needs a place to settle, and then he can make improvements. Hopefully the people that he's with now looked at this fight and just notice what we're mentioning here, because there's a ton to work here with, a ton. And hopefully he gets something done. By the end of the year, I would hope. But who knows, right?
We'll see.
Anyways, yeah, there. Yeah, I hope.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know, but let's move on from this fight because I want to talk about where it did work. We have AJ McKee.
McKee.
Yep. Go ahead. AJ McKee.
Yeah, he won 2 rounds.
Yeah, he won both rounds. Despite
and his one tighter than the other, but
he also clearly had a significant athletic advantage over Derek Campos, and it showed. And he utilized it correctly, because whenever he felt like, okay, I've expended a lot of energy, I'm feeling it, I need to slow things down, because again, worst case scenario, I'm the better athlete, I can explode out of things.
But it was 5 rounds.
It was a 5-round fight.
It was 5 rounds.
And you know what? That's one thing John McCarthy talked about. He's no, he clearly knows he won't finish Derek Campos here, so he's just going to chill. And he literally chilled. And Derek Campos was just not gifted enough physically to be able to take advantage of those moments. Nor, I guess, was he skilled enough either. But AJ McKee...
Also, he's very fucking technical. He's very fucking technical in his grappling.
I would say on the ground, less so on the feet.
No, on the feet, no, I agree. But I mean grappling,
on the grappling,
getting a hold of a guy.
That triangle armbar was fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, when I saw it, I did the first thing I thought when I saw it. Yeah, when I saw it, I immediately thought, "Oh, Ben is gonna jack off to this."
I did. I blew a load. Okay, all right.
Okay, yeah, cut that one.
Oh,
it's not PG. It's not for the children.
Sir, that is staying in this episode. And it is going to be fucking all right. First of all, I don't know if it's possible, but I've any human being that may be living in the New York city sewers might get impregnated. And if you have my child, I'm gonna need you to not. I'm gonna need you to not be shy and come forward with my sewer babies.
So you're gonna have a Morlock baby. That's what you're saying. You're gonna have more luck, baby.
Bring me my army of Morlock babies. Bring me my army. Okay. McKee was able to basically blitz Campos right out of the gates, do some serious damage. He just basically beat the shit out of Campos for most of round 1, but he couldn't get the finish. And then round 2, same thing. We saw the blitz. Campos was able to survive it. McKee started to feel it. Actually, literally just lay on his back and said, okay, come into my guard. Spent most of the rest of the round on his back. and just dealt with it. And he's like, okay, I'll use this as a recovery mechanism. And then in round 3, we saw them engage again. McKee's athletic ability once again came into play, and eventually Campos actually tried to slip out the back door, but
yeah, he tried to scramble, but McKee just
it was very nice. Basically, he slipped that leg in. He kept control of the arm, so obviously, and then locked up that triangle. But he locked it up in a way where the back of his calf was actually against the neck, so it wasn't a typical triangle where you have the leg across the back. In fact, the back of his knee was on the back of AJ McKee's of Derek Campos's neck. So the compression was actually directly is in a different spot essentially than a normal triangle would be. And the fact that he was able to compress right on the neck, and it wasn't even the triangle that got the tap; it was the armbar portion. But my God, every single thing about that, and it allowed him to really extend. Because of the positioning behind him, he didn't have the ground under him. So it actually gave him more room to extend his hips, which gave him more torque in that extension. So a picture like this, basically McKee's left hip being on the ground as opposed to his back gives him far less of a limit than he normally would if his back was on the ground and Campos is trying to pressure forward and push down on the hips and McKee's trying to fight the hips up. He didn't have to deal with any of that. He was already on the side of Campos's arm. So beautiful stuff. Really phenomenal stuff. And that's an example where the athleticism really came into play. The final example, Ilima McFarlane also defended her title versus Kate Jackson. I did not enjoy the fight. McFarlane probably does lose her title to Liz Carmouche. So...
Or no, she's not, because I think they train together. So that's fine. I don't think it's gonna happen.
I was saying more of like a if they fought type. I don't really.
Okay, yeah. She probably would because she's rawer than that, but she'd probably lose it against Juliana Velasquez.
Yeah, like I'm saying, like McFarlane does not. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be very blunt. She doesn't impress me in the slightest as a fighter. Like really.
No, she's like the standard wrestle boxer, and she's pretty good. Like she's not setting the world on fire, but she would do well at 125 in the UFC. She wouldn't get beat the shit out of her.
125 division sucks. Jessica I beats her. Jessica I beats her.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Jessica I would wrestle fuck her. She's so.
No, she wouldn't.
Yes, she would. Yes, she would.
No,
yes, she would.
I don't think so.
Yes, she would. Jessica I. First of all, the size difference alone would be a big problem for McFarlane. McFarlane's not big. She's quite small.
No, she's not. I saw a picture. Of it's a recent picture of Alexa Grasso next to Ilima McFarlane.
Yeah, that's already.
They're the same. Yeah, they're the same size. I think Grasso may be larger.
That's the thing. Like a lot of fighters who don't come to the UFC ever, seem to be a lot smaller than their UFC counterparts in those divisions.
Yeah,
and that's why we see a lot of like Derek Campos versus AJ McKee. Like the size difference was ridiculous.
It was substantial.
That's what I'm saying. Like we see these like that's the thing that people learn real fast is that a lot of the fighters who come to the UFC, at least, like there's a big size difference in a lot of these fighters. Like Valentina Shevchenko versus Ilima McFarlane would be a fucking massacre.
Yeah, that I agree with. Though it's funny because Valentina doesn't have that much reach, but she's a fucking
goddamn tank. She's a fucking tank.
Yeah, I love her. She's
really, really like shredded and like she's a fucking athlete. Calderwood. Could you imagine, if McFarlane can't get the wrestling going, she's going to get shredded from range. You know what I mean? Anyway, shout outs to JoJo, by the way. Love her. The final fight I wanted to talk about from this, athleticism.
By the way, not that you mentioned JoJo, she has the best Twitter, bio picture ever.
Oh,
I recommend watching it.
It's called Bio?
No, it's bio. Well, okay. You probably say GIF too.
No, it actually is Bio. It's not Bio.
Yeah. Hey, I don't speak English natively. I'm entitled to say this.
I do love that. It's like a little pixelated JoJo.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Great.
It's Mega Man art, by the way. It's in the Mega Man style. It's
I love
amazing.
it.
Follow her.
I do
She's
love
great.
it. Okay, next. Um,
Okay, let me get some things, some bits first in here. Like, okay, two Bellator things against athleticism beating the shit out of non-athleticism. Juliana Velasquez beat the shit out of Bruna Ellen, like she just
okay.
completely mauled her, and Alejandra Lara completely mauled Beta Arteaga. Sadly, Alejandra Lara did not make weight, and she has a loss against Juliana Velasquez, so she shouldn't be fighting for the title. But Scott Coker is saying that maybe he gives Velasquez the title shot, maybe not, and some nonsense like he should, and she's likely, maybe very likely, gonna beat McFarlane. So stay up for that.
All right. The last
Okay,
thing we do need to talk about Cyril Gane versus Tanner Boser because Tanner and I are full disclosure. Tanner and I are we follow each other on Twitter. I really like Tanner Boser. He's a genuinely awesome dude. I highly recommend anybody who listens to this show goes to follow Tanner. Like he's genuinely a really good guy, and his Twitter's fun. He's fun. I like talking to him whenever I do get a chance to. And Tanner, if you hear this, just know that anytime you are in the States, I do want to get my jerky out to you. If you're ever in the States for an extended time, just let me know where to send it. I'll get you some jerky. Promise you. Or come to New York. Fucking hell. Come to New York. We'll train at Marcelo Garcia's. You will outweigh me by about 70 pounds, but fuck it. We'll train some jiu-jitsu. Come through. Tanner Boser is...
he really means jerky, audience. He really means beef jerky. It's not
beef
like
jerky.
a sex thing.
No. What, dude, why you gotta make it weird?
Everyone I don't know why you make it weird.
Everyone on this show, I have mentioned my beef jerky business already like 1,000 times. We all know I do sell beef jerky. Right. Tanner Boser is one of those guys who is maximizing his lack of natural athleticism by developing a game that actually is good. Leg kicks, he's got some really tight combinations on the inside when he gets a chance to throw them. He's insanely tough because the shots he took from Gane were fucking ridiculous. But unfortunately, there's just such a wide athletic and size disadvantage that he's at. There's only so much he's able to do. But the first round, there's an argument he won it. On statistics alone, I'm not saying he definitely won it. I'm saying that I wouldn't be mad if somebody said, okay. The problem is that every shot that Gane landed, there was a visible impact compared to what Tanner was landing, despite the fact that Tanner was landing just as much as he was. Tanner's use of leg kicks is always going to be a part of his game. He's really good at throwing and landing them. And even throughout the fight, that was actually his biggest level of success, is that he landed consistently similar amount of low kicks over and over. It's just that Gane is just such an athletic specimen. And he actually isn't bad at striking. He didn't try and just force it. The thing with Gane is that he doesn't try to force his athletic advantage into a win. It's that he uses his athletic advantage as it is, which is just an advantage. He's going to take his time to set up his shots. He's going to wait and look for the openings or set them up using his speed and power, get the reactions he wants, and then he's going to go to work. He's not trying to force anything. He's not trying to wait for the perfect shot. He's just going to wait when he needs to wait. He's going to go when he needs to go. It's really good. He used some really good use of close the door tactics, where as Tanner was trying to as Tanner was coming in, he would throw a shot. Cyril would land a shot, and then as Tanner would finish his combination and try to exit, Gane would actually usually close with a really, really hard left hook, either to the head or to the body. Gane used phenomenal body work. He was really going for it. I would say close to 22 out of his 65 significant strikes were to the body. That's a really good thing. And at heavyweight, that's really going to come in handy. Tanner Boser happens to have excellent cardio for a heavyweight, so and it still showed. You still saw Tanner kind of...
That alone is going to make him an elite heavyweight.
Yeah, he's already a better striker than 99% of the division. The fact that Tanner Boser, a dude who, if you looked at him, you would be like, what the fuck is he doing fighting Cyril Gane? acquitted himself, in my opinion, quite well, is really impressive. Tanner is one of those guys who, while he may not be the most exciting looking guy, he's genuinely a more skilled than I would say a solid 90% of the division. And I think he's going to get a solid UFC record if he continues to get fights. I hope they don't just drop him after this, which is kind of bullshit, but he deserves more fights. I would love to see Tanner fight. I don't know if he's going to get a ranked guy. I really don't think he will. But if he does, I honestly think he could beat like Marcin Tybura. Honestly, I really think he could. He's the type of guy who could beat that, and it's one of those things. Oh,
he's just 28.
Yeah. So yeah,
he's a kid.
Yeah, he's who? Tanner
for heavyweight.
For heavyweight, Tanner Boser, or you talking about Cyril Gane,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh, I thought you meant. No, it's fine. I thought you meant Tanner Boser.
No, Tanner Boser. Well, Tanner Boser is 28, but Cyril Gane is also a kid. Tanner Boser is 28, but Cyril Gane's 29. It's not
Cyril
like
Gane is 29.
Yeah, so
no, he's a child.
Yeah, they're both children by MMA heavyweight standards. The difference is that Boser's also fought a lot more than Gane. Boser has 23 fights, and Cyril Gane has 6. So, but the difference is, I think Cyril Gane has a kickboxing background. I don't know exactly what it is.
And he looks fucking chiseled.
Yeah, the guy is an athletic freak, I think we could say.
He has like a sun tattoo in his chest.
Yes, he does.
It's not like a hammer, but I like it.
He is the heavyweight's maheta, but he's whatever the Brazilian word for sun is. Okay, other than that, there were some other fights on the card that we should mention. Really briefly. Well, actually, just one that I really want to mention. Pantoja versus Matt Schnell was fun as fuck. I don't know if you watched it yet, but holy shit, Matt Schnell came at Pantoja.
I intend to.
This is kind of another one where the athletic advantage really shined. Pantoja kind of just was able to... granted, Pantoja is also a very solid boxer, and Matt Schnell is not as solid in terms of like pedigree on the feet. And it showed. Pantoja ended up clocking him with a right hand in the middle of an exchange, and it just dropped Matt Schnell. Face planted. It was a beautiful knockout. I would highly recommend you go and watch it. The last thing I want to talk about is Rico Verhoeven versus Badr Hari. I don't know how else to
Badr Hari things happen in a Badr Hari fight. Badr Hari things happen in a Badr Hari fight.
Yeah, Badr Hari knocked Rico down in the first round. He got outstruck in the second round. He knocked Rico Verhoeven down in the third round, and then I don't know what happened. Did his ankle break? Like, I don't even know.
I think it was his knee.
No, they were icing. They were icing his ankle.
It's his ankle. Well, I don't know. It's just like, if you're a bad person, bad things happen to you.
I mean, the dude's a PED abuser. Like, listen, don't get me wrong. I am sure Rico is also using, just because, like, holy shit, you cannot be that big and that thick and that muscular and that shape and not be using PEDs in a sport that I'm pretty sure does not really test very well. But let me put it this way. Rico Verhoeven, it's very odd seeing a 6'5", 260-pounder with cardio. It's very weird.
Yeah.
And Verhoeven was barely breathing heavy. Like, he was barely like...
Yeah, man. Yeah, and you know what this does for me is that I want to do PEDs, man.
Yeah, I definitely would.
Definitely. Those things clearly work.
Dude,
those things clearly work.
PEDs. I'm 100% going to start doing PEDs.
Fuck yeah.
So I will definitely watch if they do a rematch, because that fight was fun, and it was weird seeing it was definitely weird seeing Rico just come after Badr Hari.
Someone
and it got him dropped or hurt multiple times, but like he just kept, for some reason, kept doing it. But then like in the second round, like just watching him with those combinations and the Dutch kickboxing style really came through with those combinations and the leg kicks. The body shot, fucking beautiful. I loved watching that fight. Fuck Badr Hari, but also like Rico Verhoeven. Yeah, I'm gonna have to talk to some of my buddies about that fight because like I want to learn. That got me excited to watch more kickboxing. So I kind of want to just like ask, like, send me fights.
We can start watching Glory.
We could start, but I'm not sure Glory is the one that we're supposed to start watching. If I'm not mistaken, there's a better kickboxing.
I'm not. Yeah, well, I don't know.
I'm gonna have to ask
maybe, but Glory is fun.
Shout out to thefightset.com if you want to learn about kickboxing. They have really good stuff.
This fight happened in Glory, didn't it?
It did happen in Glory.
This
is a legitimately like elite fight. This is actually the first time that Rico's competed in Glory in a good while, in over a year. The last one he competed at was against Guto Innocente, and that was in 2018 in September. Glory 59. Like, he did a lot. He hasn't competed in over a year. Rico. He was competing every like few Glory events. He competed at Glory 17, 19, 22, 26, 28, 33, 36, 41, 46, 49, 54, 59, and now 74. So, you know.
He's just tired.
Yeah. I mean, he's young still. He's not that old. He's like 32? 30. He's only 30. Wow. All right. Anyway, I think that's it for the episode, right?
Oh, what's his name? Alex Pereira? Like the guy that knocked out Israel.
Alex Pereira. Holy shit. Another left hook. Another left hook.
Yeah, it was like a beautiful, like, it looked like a glancing shot, and the dude just fell down.
Yeah, I mean, that dude has sickening power. Also, I would not mind seeing Rico Verhoeven start doing MMA. Like, that dude's a proper-ass heavyweight, and I would love to see what a proper-ass heavyweight can do. The one guy he fought in MMA in 2015 ended up 0-2, so whatever.
Yeah. Okay, but he will never get to the UFC, though. That's the problem. He can fight in Bellator, he can fight in other places, but not the UFC, because USADA is going to fuck him up.
Oh, yeah, USADA would fuck him up.
And take all his money.
Yeah.
And take all his money.
Yeah, I don't need to see him in the UFC. I just want to see him fight.
Maybe get him to snitch. Maybe get him to snitch someone in Holland, and maybe that's not. They don't super fuck him up. Like,
I don't know.
Went on with John Jones, but
I don't know. But let him have a cage that he can hide under, and then we'll be fine. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. I've, of course, been your host.
Yeah, gracias.
Alejandro joined me as well. Bilal was sleepy.
Yeah, South Africa time, people.
All right.
Yeah.
Say bye-bye.
This is harder than it sounds. Okay. Bye-bye. Adios.